Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, when it comes to Abel Sanchez, I have to put him in the category with Freddie Roach now and say that these two trainers are possibly some of the greatest training promoters in the sport of boxing. People like Abel Sanchez and Freddie Roach, they always have a good soundbite to give to reporters. So I personally have to thank people like Freddie Roach and Abel Sanchez for that. Now let's go ahead and get into the news. Now, it was just recently reported Abel Sanchez, he gave his thoughts on Floyd Mayweather bringing up Gennady Golovkin's name a lot recently. Now, it's interesting because Gennady Golovkin, we all know, has been calling out Floyd Mayweather and dropping Floyd Mayweather's name for the last 2 years? And now Floyd Mayweather is finally reacting and responding to Team Golovkin. Now, if you guys want to hear what Floyd Mayweather had to say about Gennady Golovkin when he did his interview with me, you guys can go ahead and click on that link at the top left-hand corner of the screen, or you could click on the link in the description box when I add it to this video later on. But anyway, so most of you guys already know what Floyd Mayweather had to say about Golovkin, so let's go ahead and read what Gennady Golovkin's trainer, Abel Sanchez, had to say about Floyd Mayweather in regards to him talking about Golovkin. Quote, he's saying things about a comeback. He just seems to be fixated on Golovkin. I've seen 3 or 4 pieces in the last couple of weeks where he's talking about beating Golovkin. It looks like he's laying the groundwork for something. Whether it's Golovkin or somebody else, Floyd's laying the groundwork for a comeback. I think you lay the groundwork. You say things to see how people react. You say things to see if it's something that the public wants, and he's gauging that. We've always known that Floyd was a great businessman, so it's all part of the plan for him. There's nothing that he says or does that is not calculated. End quote. First thing I want to say in response to what Abel just said is, it's pretty ironic. I remember when I went to Big Bear and covered Gennady Golovkin's camp exclusively, sat down and talked to Abel Sanchez, or talked with him, and he said a couple things that was interesting, but one of the things that stood out is when he mentioned Floyd Mayweather, he said, well, you know, when people say Floyd Mayweather is pound for pound the best fighter in the world, they don't mean, you know, he's pound for pound because of his skill. They just mean he's pound for pound because how rich he is. So in other words, Abel Sanchez, he was in a certain way trying to downplay Floyd Mayweather's accomplishments and really saying that he's just a businessman and he made better business moves than any other fighter. The irony of that all is if you really look at what Gennady Golovkin is doing right now, it would suggest that they're trying to follow that blueprint. But the difference is Team Golovkin, they're taking extreme shortcuts. They're not taking the same path that Floyd Mayweather took. In fact, they're taking a dangerous ass detour that doesn't even guarantee them they'll reach their destination. Now, what I mean by that is if you look at Floyd Mayweather's career and you look at Gennady Golovkin's career, now the first thing you'll notice is Gennady Golovkin is 34 years old. Floyd Mayweather had accomplished more by the time he was 25 years old than Gennady Golovkin has accomplished in his entire professional career. So when they talk about taking risk, calculated moves, before Floyd Mayweather even became a pay-per-view star, Floyd Mayweather was already taking the risk that Team Golovkin have not been willing to take yet. Once again, the path that Floyd Mayweather went down was a tough one. It was tough and it was a long route. This is the reason why fighters today, or so many fighters today, are trying to take a shorter detour route. Floyd Mayweather was already fighting bigger, stronger opponents when he was like 23 years old. When he fought against Diego Corrales was considered pound for pound number 5, the best fighter in the world. He fought against champions like Janelle Hernandez, who he went in the fight as an underdog against Janelle Hernandez, Okay? These are the type of opponents that Floyd, and when he fought against Hernandez, Floyd was around 20, 21 years old. He only had 17 fights. You're talking about a man who fought Janelle Hernandez, Angel Manfredi, Diego Corrales, Jose Luis Castillo, Philip Endo, all before the age of 25. And Golovkin is 34 years old. Why am I telling you guys this? I'm telling you this because Abel Sanchez said that Floyd Mayweather, he makes calculated business moves. Now, I'm not denying or disagreeing with Abel Sanchez. There's no doubt about it. Everything Floyd Mayweather does is calculated. I agree with that. But it's calculated with substance. And that's what we are not getting with Team Golovkin right now. We're getting a lot of calculated moves, not fighting against Andre Ward when he called them out. Instead of fighting Andre Ward, they decide to fight Willie Monroe. They decide to fight David Lemieux, when we all know that the Andre Ward fight would have been a much bigger pay-per-view fight than the David Lemieux fight. Those are the type of calculated decisions that they're making. Once again, calculation with no substance. Now, granted, they want to unify the titles at the middleweight division. Even though that's a contradiction because they said that they were willing to fight Chavez and Carl Froch at 168. You know what Abel Sanchez told me? Sanchez told me that Golovkin knocks out cruiserweights in sparring. And he's going to have to move up to light heavyweight or cruiserweight to challenge himself. This is what Abel Sanchez told me. So the fact that he turned down fighting pound for pound the best fighter in the world below Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, it didn't really make any sense. Now, if Gennady Golovkin would have stayed at the middleweight division and he said, look, man, I'm going to stay here at the middleweight division for quite some time. I'm not thinking about moving up. If he would have said something like that, then no one would have put pressure on him to fight against Andre Ward. But once you say, I'll go up and fight guys at 168, oh, but I won't fight the best guy at 168, you leave yourself wide open. Now, since we're talking about Gennady Golovkin, let's talk about the diehard Gennady Golovkin fans and the double standards that I will always expose. Why is it when an American fan says something true that's not negative about a fellow American fighter like Floyd Mayweather, American fighters on the coincidental list, of course. Why is it when we say something that is true, that is also in corroboration with stuff that famous trainers like Nacho Beristain has said, fighters like Mikey Garcia, Bernard Hopkins, and the list just goes on and on and on. Why is it when we say something that is in corroboration with stuff that the professional boxing community are saying about these American coincidental list fighters, the same fans that'll step on a landmine just to defend Gennady Golovkin, when it comes to you saying something positive about an American, your own countryman, then these same fans that will defend Golovkin, they'll start using these code words and calling you all kind of stuff like gay, which is a code word for something else they want to call you. I'll just put it this way. The word, it has an N in it and it has a couple G's in it, and it ain't nice guy. But these are the things that they really want to call you. But once again, they can't call you that because they would be perceived as the bad guy. So they get around that by using these code words. So when I say something that's actually true, and I ain't talking about no fan stuff, I'm just talking about boxing. If I say something true about Floyd Mayweather, give you stats, etc., right? These same fans, they will use code words and say, or you're gay, or you're a gay runner lover, etc. You hear that? Doesn't it sound similar to stuff that we've heard in the past before? When it comes to fighters on the coincidental list, these decafs will accuse you of liking them too much, as if that's a bad thing for, once again, an American to like an American fighter. But when it comes to a fighter from another country, you're not gay if you defend them. Oh, actually, it's the contrary. You better like them, because if you don't like them, if you don't defend them, then something is wrong with you. You must be a racist. You must be a hater. So you see how it works? When it comes to fighters on the coincidental list, you're not supposed to like them. And if you do like them, something's wrong with you. You're gay. You like them too much, etc. But when it comes to these fighters who have their hope card, something is wrong with you if you don't like them. Matter of fact, they encourage you to love the shit out of them. Even if they're turning down opponents, even if they lose or don't look good in a fight, no matter what they do, you are supposed to praise these fighters. Oh, but the American fighters, you're supposed to discredit. You're supposed to berate them. Call them boring. Call them cocky. Call them runners. Call them scared. Call them inactive. As long as it's negative, you can say it. You see how that works? You could damn near start calling the coincidental list Team USA. Only in this country do American fans treat their own worse than they treat outsiders. You would never see this in the Philippines. Manny Pacquiao, he can sit over here and say whatever he wants. He could say gays are worse than animals. He could come out and say something worse than that tomorrow. And those fans in the Philippines, they are going to stick to Manny Pacquiao. They are going to remain loyal to Manny Pacquiao. These Filipino fans are so loyal to Manny, they will burn up Nike shoes before they burn up a Manny Pacquiao shirt. Just in defense of Manny Pacquiao. Not in America, though. Not in America. Only in this country do fans go out of their way to discredit a fellow American. Only in this country do you see this ridiculous shit. Do you know how many countries wish they could say the best fighter in the whole wide world comes from my country? Do you know how much every other country would appreciate that? Would love the idea, especially if you're a boxing fan on top of that, right? Why do you guys think all of a sudden the entire island of the Philippines are boxing fans now? They weren't boxing fans before. They are now. They are now. Because of loyalty. Because of loyalty and unity. Something we don't have in this country. So since I'm running out of time, the bottom line is I thought it was almost comical that Abel Sanchez would say that Floyd Mayweather is fixated on talking about Gennady Golovkin when it was Team Golovkin that has basically been calling out Floyd Mayweather using his name for the last 2 years.